Welcome, students, as we prepare for another episode of DC Graduates. I am one of your hosts here at Dr. Recommended Dose of Nerdiness, aka your Nerd Today. And as always, I'm joined by my teacher in arms, Sly. Sly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm about halfway through not SpawnCon, Pedialyte Popsicle, so if I do forget to turn off my mic and make some obnoxious noises, I apologize in advance. But we're
Little
here.
crinkles.
We're both ill,
Yeah,
and we're gonna have a great show.
and we're both tackling it in completely different ways. You, Pedialyte, me, vodka.
I was tackling it with vodka yesterday,
That's true.
and it did help, but you know, gotta you gotta have a balance of both, you know?
Yeah, it's a balance of alcoholism versus like actually taking care of your body when you're sick. The alcohol could do so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could do so much. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited because we finally get to just specifically talk about one of my favorite concepts of a character. Not specifically a character. This guy's okay. He's not my favorite. But we get to talk about Green Lantern.
We'll talk about him.
Yeah. We get to talk about Green Lantern today. And we're talking about the 2009 Green Lantern First Flight. Sly, let's start with host history. What is your history with this movie?
Well, we've talked about our Green Lantern history in general a little bit when we did Fatal 5.
Yes.
And you know, when I think of Green Lantern, the first lantern that's gonna come to mind for me is John Stewart. That's kind of my like go-to point of reference. Hal has always been around. Like he's there, he shows up, he does things.
Yeah.
But he's not really like the one I think of. Like if you say Green Lantern, that's not the face I'm picturing. And then Kyle Rayner, I only know via fan fiction and not through actual source material.
Okay.
But he seems cool.
He is cool.
Yeah, he seems awesome. I need to get more into him.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Hal is, you know, he's here. He's fine. He's a choice. This movie, I feel like I've definitely seen it, like, playing in the background on, oh, crap, what was that channel called? That would play, like, all the, like, random runs of, like, Boomerang or something?
Oh, yeah, Boomerang. Yeah.
Yeah,
At some point, they
I
would
feel like I've
play
seen this.
the Green Lantern animated, the 3D animated TV series, and then this would play alongside it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I've seen it in that setting specifically. But yeah, other than that, it's not one like I've ever actively sought out.
Yeah.
Especially considering how old I was at the time this came out.
Don't, don't do it. You know what? Fuck it. How old were you?
But that's why. Oh, I was like 10 or something.
God damn it. I was married, Sly. I just got married.
Okay.
God damn.
I think my sister was married too, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I was a young married. I'm not that old. I was 22 when we got married, but still, I just got married. Like you'd have been like at the party, and then we're like, oh, you gotta leave now. It's time for all the adults to start drinking. Like, bye, little Sly.
Exactly.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I would have been there for the reception, but definitely not the after party.
No, 100% not. I barely remember the after party. For me, I obviously a big Green Lantern fan. I joke about it all the time. I obviously wear the T-shirt. Shout out to superhero stuff.com. They're not sponsored, but I just love them. I got the tattoo, you know. Not a big fan of Green Lantern, just to let you know. Just it's weird that I have a shirt and a tattoo. But so I was like jumping. I jumped on board on this
Casual.
movie. Yeah, just very casual, laid back.
Yeah.
You know, laissez-faire. Honestly, bandwagon.
Definitely could not name all of them. Yeah.
Nah, not at all.
Fan.
Nah, yeah, just bandwagon. So 2009 was like almost like very I want to say peak Green Lantern. Obviously, like DC Animation Studios was like really up and running, really doing their thing, really going full bore with a lot of these movies, and as well we had Jeff Johns. I think he was still on his run in Green Lantern, just reestablishing who Hal is, reshaping a lot of the bad choices we had in like the late 80s, early 90s of Green Lantern, and then like taking all the good and then added some like, hey, it's like with Star Wars, you know how where you get like, oh, let's Rogue One, what do we care how they got the like Death Star plans? It's like, wow, this is a really compelling movie.
Yeah,
I really like
exactly.
that I watched this movie. Thank you for explaining how you did this. You know, where they explain like little things that like, oh, this doesn't make sense. It was like, well, we'll explain it later on. Don't worry about it. So you got like shit like that with Jeff Johns' run, but here it's just kind of like a capitalization. It was like, all right, so we have some more established, heroes. Obviously, we do a lot of Batman, a lot of Superman. But Wonder Woman was 2007, right? That was last week's movie.
2009 as well. Yeah.
Oh, 2009 was. So yeah, so now they're starting to
Yeah.
branch out, right? They're starting to get away from
hmm
specifically the, just the Trinity. It not even, I mean, Wonder Woman barely got anything. Comic book wise, fine. Here, nothing. So she finally gets her own movie. We're moving a little away from Superman and Batman movies. So let's jump into Green Lantern. Super excited to get this. I bought it on Blu-ray. Came with a couple episodes of Justice League on the Blu-ray disc, and as well a Duck Dodgers episode, which is one of my favorite Duck Dodgers things. Duck Dodgers switches clothes with Hal Jordan at one point. So he becomes a Green Lantern by accident for a whole day as Hal Jordan's stuck in the Duck Dodgers suit. If you know who Daffy Duck is, Duck Dodgers is 25th century. Um, so it's just very comedic. And they had a Duck Dodgers show around this time on Cartoon Network. So, um, I watched this. Maybe might be the third time because the second time I was like, we got a Green Lantern movie,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like,
hmm
well, that Ryan Reynolds guy is gonna make a live action one. I'll just wait for that one. Yep, I made
Yeah.
choices were made by DC and me, around this time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. So that's my history specifically with this. I don't want to get too much into it because I want to talk about it more when we get to the Andrea Romano roundup. But this movie, Green Lantern: First Light, again in 2009, was directed by Lauren Montgomery, written by Alan Burnett. Studio, as always, is WB Animation. Stars Christopher Fat Ass Maloney, because he got a dunk on him. He got two hams. He's hiding behind the motherfuckers. Victor Garber, who we all know love of stage, screen, and play. You know, did he drown the Titanic? He's the cause of it. Is he in other stuff that's DC related? That's awesome. Yeah. Trisha Helfer, who at this time, I mean, Battlestar Galactica was like riding high. Michael Madsen, which is a very inspired choice for Kilowog, works so good. And a little vocal cameo
Oh,
as always, Bruce
good.
Timm.
Yeah.
Sly, where's the streaming at?
Totally legally. Because they do not have a Green Lantern 18 movie collection.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched it on a website that streams movies.
There are, this is the section of the episode where we say fuck David Zaslav. Because again, why can't I just turn on Max? Max
My favorite
has,
thing was
yeah.
I googled where can I stream this, and I find a Yahoo Movies article. God knows when, it wasn't dated. That was like, yeah, you can stream it on. And this is the mistake I made. It said HBO Max,
Oh yeah,
and
HBO
I didn't
Max.
think about it
100% you
because
could. Yeah.
HBO Max it was streaming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They dropped the HBO and half their catalog. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep. 100%. I'm interested to see if the Ryan Reynolds movie is on Max.
Oh God, now I have to look it up.
Because I feel like
Vamp for a second.
yeah, I feel like it should be. Because I feel like live action, sure, yeah, no problem. This motherfucking
hmm
movie, nah, God forbid. Um, but yeah, for me too. I mean, there's websites out there that you can find stuff. Is it on Tubi? Unfortunately, not. Tubi though, as a recording,
No, not
has a
on
decent
Tubi.
amount of stuff, man. If you're going to
Mm-hmm.
follow along with us, I would love to at the end of like every episode that we do for DG graduates, kind of do like what Dead Meat does, and like on the next Dead Meat, whatever. But mentally, I can't edit that in my head. And secondly,
Uh-huh.
because at the end of every episode, it goes like, and this movie can be found on the streaming platforms listed below. Like, fucking, it'd be some illegal website. Like, make sure you have ad blocker on every week,
Shout
though.
out to like 1, 2, 3 movies and Yes
Mm-hmm.
Movies. We
Yeah.
love you. So Green Lantern, the animated series, one season of it is on Max.
To be fair, there's only one
We
season.
got Flashpoint per. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Crisis on Infinite Earth. Young Justice.
Young Justice is
Shout
fucking good.
out. And then a lot of shows that, or a lot of movies that I don't believe Lantern was in that come up when I search Green Lantern. Also, Gossip Girl. Shout out.
No, I
You
know why.
search Green
I know why.
Lantern on Max. Why?
Because Blake Lively is Carol Ferris.
Oh,
She's in Gossip Girl. Yeah.
yeah. Fair enough.
All right.
All right. That was a fun Adventures of
Yeah.
Max.
Exactly.
Anyways, so yeah, you certainly cannot stream this movie legally.
Nope.
I guess you
Nope.
can rent it if
Yeah.
you're a chump.
Rent it. Yeah. Certainly, like Barrio rented that Harv movie. He was like, "Oh, I got should sign up to subscribe to this movie." Like, here you go. Sty, hit us with the plot recap for this one.
All right. When pilot Hal Jordan accepts a mysterious, powerful ring. Hold on, I'm going to stop you right there. Usually I read these when I paste them into the doc, and I want you to know this is my first time reading this at all.
It's gonna be good.
All right, I'm going to start from the top. When pilot Hal Jordan accepts a mysterious, powerful ring from a dying alien creature, it transforms him into a Green Lantern. Hashtag magical girl transformation. One of an elite force of heroes. These heroes patrol the universe to ensure peace and justice under the leadership of the Guardians of the Universe. Unsure of their newest recruit, hashtag what's racism but to humans? I don't know. Anyways.
This is still xenophobia if it's us.
Oh, I guess it would be just xenophobia. Fair enough.
Damn, I know how those right wing people feel. Like, damn.
The Guardians assign Hal to their most honored Green Lantern, Sinestro, for training. Unaware that Sinestro, you might notice from his name literally being sinister, wants to overthrow the Guardians and create a new order he'll control. It's a battle of might and willpower as Hal must prove his worth by defeating Sinestro to save the Green Lantern Corps. It says Hall in the note.
No, for posterity's sake, it does say Hall, not Hal. Thank you, anonymous, on IMDb. Now, I have listed the comic book characters for you. It's like, would you like to take a crack at them, or would you like me to do it?
I would love you to.
All right. So, comic characters this time around: Green Lantern. No, JK.
Yeah.
Hal Jordan. Kilowog. Boudica.
Our beloved.
Yes. Sinestro. Kanjar Ro. Tomar Ray. Abin Sur. Carol Ferris. Aricia. Chip. Izamat Call. Salek. And the Guardians of the Universe. Now, do some of them speak in this? Nah, I just remember them from the comic book. I was like, oh, I know that guy.
I'm pretty sure some of these are only mentioned by name and never appear on screen.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, or they're literally like a flash in the background. I was like, I saw that motherfucker. I know him.
He's like, there we go.
Santa,
Yeah.
I know him.
Shout out to Abin Sur.
Yes, Abin Sur, man.
Really held down the first 2 minutes of this film, but
always memorable every
time
he's on screen. Every time he's on screen.
He's great.
So let's move on to the Andrea Romano roundup as we shout out our queen, voice director, Supreme Andrea Romano.
Who also worked on this movie. Now that we're in the late aughts, early 2010s, like all of these have her
Oh, 100%.
fingerprints
Yeah.
all over them.
They're
Yeah.
like, you put the work in, like in the early '90s. We're gonna just you get
Hmm.
all the work now, unless you don't want it for
Yeah.
some reason. Let's start. Let's start here because I think it's the main crux of the movie why it doesn't work too well. I've titled it "The Plight of a Good Villain Overshadowing Our Hero is Tough Work." Sinestro, played by Victor Garber, is so goddamn good in this movie. And that's even with them changing so much of his backstory. Like, not really giving him a backstory. He's just straight up evil. Like, the Sinestro of the comics has a lot of layers to him, almost like an onion or like Shrek. Uh, he,
We
you
love
know,
onions.
yes, he has a reason for falling down to the path of the Yellow Lantern. You know, creating a Sinestro Corps. It might be, he has a reason to get from A to B. In this, he's just straight up a dick. He's just a bad guy. Like when you see earlier stories or where they recontextualize a lot of the earlier history of Sinestro and how in the Lantern Corps he is a dick, but like you see where he comes from. Like his planet sucks, and he's trying to get order, and he goes a little bit overboard on there, but he still believes in what the Green Lantern Corps is. And it's like he just honestly, and you get a couple like nods to that, him saying, "Hey, they're not doing it right. They could do it better. They've gone soft. You should do this and that." But like, it really honestly feels like him saying that just so he could be like the fucking bully. Like he's just
Yeah.
he
Really.
blatantly
Truly.
murders like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It just
Hmm.
feels rough. But even with saying that, and they changed so much for, I don't want to say the negative. It's just different. But fucking Victor Garber chews up the dialogue in this, man. Like
Oh yeah.
absolutely kills it, and completely and utterly, unfortunately, overshadows our protagonist, Hal Jordan. Like I make a lot of jokes about how, because I think everyone has a favorite Green Lantern, and it's not Hal Jordan. And if it is, you didn't read comics after like the 80s. You didn't read any Jon Stewart. You didn't read any Guy Gardner. You didn't read any Kyle, Rayner. You didn't read any Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, any of that stuff, right? Um, Hal should not be your favorite Lantern, and if it is, take full offense. I don't care. He's very milk toast, like,
Oh
is
yeah.
Hal Jordan cool? He is cool as a Green Lantern in the context of the Justice League, right? Like he's fun, he's laughable, like he has a good time, he plays around a lot. But like when you put him in just the core himself, John Stewart's right there. Guy Gardner has more like fun as a character. You see him. Kyle Rayner's the goddamn torchbearer of the Green Lanterns. Um, so it's weird to already have someone who's so milk toast as a hero in Hal Jordan, and then you cast Christopher Maloney, who voice work wise, we haven't seen much of him, right? Like I think this is one of the very few ones he's done, but um, what you see is him excel as a voice actor in this, and he is fighting a tidal wave that is Victor Garber, and that's not Christopher Maloney's fault.
Hmm.
That's not Victor Garber's fault, and in a way, it's not the fault of the writers. Like, I mean, it's the fault of the writers, I guess. It is wholeheartedly a Sinestro movie. He somehow is
Hmm.
the protagonist, and the antagonist is like Hal Jordan doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great way to explain this film because it is Sinestro's movie. Even though like he shows up and immediately you're like, we got bad vibes. And then like two scenes later you're like, oh, this is like the straight up villain. He's still the main character and like main perspective that we're seeing this film through for a majority of it. And, that makes an interesting movie, but it doesn't make a good Hal Jordan origin, right? Like, if that's the premise of what this movie is we're setting up Hal Jordan and we're showing you his first, like, couple missions as a Green Lantern. What we're really seeing instead is this is Sinestro's rise and fall, right?
Yeah.
Like it's him finally getting everything he's ever wanted and also see it crumble in front of him, which is really powerful. But yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on Sinestro, especially his design.
Yeah. He he just looks evil. You know, like that's
Yeah.
I think that's unfortunate because like that's how he is, just always drawn. You know, and it was a different time. Like he was, I think it was like 70s, 60s. Like he was created. So like they like phoning it in that he's a bad guy, right? Let's show you he's got the mustache, he's got the pointed, hair. He looks like
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I guess we're just gonna dive right into
yeah. Let's not
it.
very into it. Yeah,
But like when you look at like Sinestro's design as a character, the first thing you notice, red skin. You know,
yeah.
it's giving like devil, right?
Devil. Yeah,
Okay, cool, great. We got the pointy hair to go with it. But then I, throughout this movie, was thinking so hard about that fucking mustache. And I blame 911 because currently one of their characters is rocking a mustache this season. And it's making me have a lot of thoughts and feelings about it. And I won't get into all of that. If you want those feelings, you can check out our most, well, I guess not most recent by the time this come out. If you check out the Served Up Sunday with
like
JJ and I a
3
couple
weeks
weeks
ago.
ago. Yeah. Um, because my problem with how they're using the mustache in 911, and I will get to the point, I promise,
Yeah,
is that you put it on a character and you're trying to tie that mustache to a very specific community. But when a good chunk of your audience are not in that community, but are in a very different community that also has ties to a mustache that looks like that, meaning a specific thing, like you're not really achieving like what you set out to
yeah,
do. So I've been thinking a lot about mustaches and the way they're used in media this past weekend. But when I think about this, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, like the two communities that like I associate with mustaches are like Latina men and like queer men, like cis gay men specifically,
oh, okay, yeah,
right? And when you think of like those two communities, historically tend to be villain coded, which would make sense that now we associate
hmm,
mustaches with villains.
yeah.
And so that was the whole like this may not be a like brain blast for anybody else, but again, I'm very ill and I was watching this movie like an hour ago and I was like, I put the pieces together.
I saw the Matrix, guys. I did it. But I mean, there's something to say there, right? Because they at the time you're thinking about again, 60s, 70s, Sinestro's introduced. This is post um the original Green Lantern. He's not Alan Stewart. No, that's not right. It's fine. But the guy who uses like the railroad like lantern as his lantern,
Yeah.
like
God, I feel like it's Alan something.
yeah, it is Alan. I just can't remember his last name. But we're establishing the Green Lantern Corps. This is space bound, things like that, and a lot of us are media trained from an early age, and you see like vaudevillian villains, right? They have the mustache, the twirling mustache.
Scott.
Alan Scott. There we
Alan Scott.
go. So you have these vaudevillian villains who are twirling their mustache and they're putting the girl in danger on
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
railroad and things like that. Like this is Sinestro is specifically drawn that way, and it has been from jump. Like now, I
Yeah.
think if someone were to jump in now, and there's been a couple stories where he rejoins the Green Lantern Corps for some reason or anything like that. And if you see him, you're like, oh, that guy kind of seems like a dick, but he's a good guy. Mustaches now are kind of different, but like I think your generation is probably one of the last to be media trained to be like, I see a mustache, I think evil. Even think about like
Yeah.
Star Trek, right? They have this whole thing called the
Mhm.
Mirror Universe, where like Kirk, Spock, and things like that will meet like their counterparts in a different universe where they're completely evil. They wear goatees and mustaches. Like it's something we're media trained to
Iconic.
just see a
Yeah.
mustache or a goatee and you're like, bad guy, gotcha, no problem.
Uh-huh.
Don't you don't have to explain
Yeah,
it to
right.
me. It's not necessary now in like 2024, but it's something that's so ingrained in us that I think it,
Yeah,
it
for
influences,
sure.
influences a many people, even when it comes to just normal mustaches
Mhm.
on men. I think women are like, oh, no, thank you. I think you have to be from like a younger generation and be like, yeah, no, I'm cool with the mustache. Other ones are like, nah, no, thank you.
Yeah, mustaches are like in style right now with like the kids,
Not in this
and
household.
it's a little weird to me.
Mm-mm. Can't even try. Uh, but yeah, it's funny, and then of course, kudos to Andrea for casting, Victor Garber in this role because he just adapts
Badass.
to anything that he's in. Right?
Mhm.
You see him in Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, and you're like, oh my god, you're great as Professor Stein. And then you see him here, and you're like, fuck, you are chewing up the scenery, dude. And you're like like no, not overacting, but you're like acting leaps and bounds over everyone else who no one's phoning it
Mhm.
in because again, Michael Madsen as Kilowog is great and really good choice of casting,
Excellent.
and Christopher Maloney again really doing a good job as Hal. It's just no one can shine as bright as Victor Garber in this role. It's so much so that again they change a lot of his backstory where he's just straight up a douchebag and a bad guy from jump that you're like,
Mhm.
me being a huge Green Lantern fan was like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Nah, Victor Garber is that good
Mhm.
in this role.
Yeah.
It makes it so hard because Maloney doesn't get enough, and that's again, this is already written, kind of already animated for the most part. He's coming into almost finished product to be like, yeah, just put your voice on. And he's like, it's not his movie from jump. From the jump is not his movie. Like that sucks. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we get a really good villain movie. It just
Mhm.
when you want to watch a movie called Green Lantern and you want to establish Green Lantern, the Green Lantern is not the hero. There is a Green Lantern there, but he turns
Yeah.
bad, and it's rough. It's rough. It's not a horrible thing, but this movie definitely has issues because of the fact that it's not really like a Christopher Maloney movie. And that, funny enough, is kind of when thinking about when we started the season with like Batman Year One, and that adaptation showcases more of Gordon than the book does, and Gordon
Mhm.
kind of goes front and center in that. It still is a good job, and it's still written in a way where Batman gets enough time to shine as a character, showcase, as a
Mhm.
character. Ben McKenzie has enough time to kind of be both Bruce Wayne and Batman in that role. Maloney, I feel like doesn't even have too many lines. Again, the whole mystery is just surrounded about Sinestro.
Mhm.
It's so weird to talk so negative about a character and actor that have completely killed but they're so good and it's so well written for this one part that it just drags the rest of the movie down, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this movie really does an excellent job of setting up Hal Jordan as a side character. Like he's
Exactly.
not the main character in this movie. And my only really thoughts around like if you say like Hal Jordan as Green Lantern, the only thing I think of him as is Oliver Queen's like sidekick.
Yes.
So, in that regard, they did a great job setting him up to be a
Yeah.
sidekick.
Yeah.
But if you're
Exactly.
trying to make him the hero, you're trying to establish this universe of characters, this core of characters, you're not going to be turning to, like, I would take a Kilowog solo movie after this over another Hal Jordan.
100%.
And we'll see, what they do with Hal Jordan next week,
Mm-hmm.
because we are getting a kind of ish sequel to this, um, ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I want to say I had a great time with this movie. It was fun. The action was fun. The writing
Yeah.
was great. I don't think it fulfilled the premise it set out to,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah. It's not a good Hal Jordan movie. And it's
Hmm.
funny because you almost, I think for Green Lantern, especially for starting off the character and getting Green Lantern on screen for the first time, you almost need to nail Hal. So like that, then be like, all right, here's your intro. Here's this dude. normal guy, test flight, hothead, all this stuff, blah blah blah. Green Lantern, perfect, cool. Here's the
Yeah.
more interesting guys. This guy's John Stewart. He's a former Marine and an architect. His contracts look cool. Hey, this guy over here is like a badass from Baltimore, kind of a dick bag. His family's full of cops, but he's like kind of the black sheep of the family. His name's Guy Gardner. He has a bowl cut. Don't worry about it. Anyway, this guy over here is like half Mexican, half American. He is an artist, so all his contracts look like fucking anime and manga and stuff. And he's like, oddly enough, the most important character in the story. And after that, like, there's so many more interesting notes
Yeah.
for Green Lantern that
You have to like start with Wonder Bread to get to like a fancy like honey oat blend.
Yeah, exactly. A brioche, if you will, down the line. Yeah, something. Yeah, a baguette, if you will. But it is interesting that like fortunately, I like this movie enough that I would rewatch it again. It's just Sinestro is like you have to go knowing in like Sinestro is the main character really.
Yeah.
Moving on,
He kills it.
Yeah, he really does. Surprising. Moving on, I wanted to touch upon something I feel like a lot of Green Lantern stories struggle with. So I have it here as terrestrial or extra. What suits a Green Lantern story more? And this is kind of popped in my head, and I thought this was a good point right now. We could touch upon. We're doing a special episode down the line, where me and Mario, and if you want to join us as well, Sly, we're going to talk about the upcoming DC Universe slate by James Gunn. And it recently just been announced that we have Aaron Pierre cast as John Stewart, our beloved John Stewart, who we love. And we have Kyle Chandler of Friday Night Lights, and God, he's been in a bunch of things, Godzilla movie recently. Cast as an older, more stately Hal Jordan. And as well, we already have our third Green Lantern as well. We have Dathan Fillion cast as Guy Gardner in this universe. So we have 3 Green Lanterns, all human based so far. But it's been recently announced that the Lanterns TV show that will be on Max, unlike this movie, will be a true detective-esque story that takes place with these lanterns. It's Kyle. I'm sorry, not. I really want a Kyle Raider so bad. We have 3 of the 4.
All want Kyle.
I want Kyle so fucking bad. We have Hal showing John the ropes because he's a new recruit within the Green Lantern Corps. But it's mainly gonna take place on Earth, like somewhere in the Midwest. So a lot of people have been very critical of like, okay, yeah, are we getting Green Lantern? Okay, yeah, we are getting Guy Gardner as Justice League International, and I don't know what's gonna happen with in that movie of Superman. And then yes, are we getting Hal Jordan, John Stewart? Yes, but it's gonna take place on Earth, and everyone's like, why? So a lot of stories, especially when it comes to Green Lanterns in media, it seems like outside of comic books, it seems like they're afraid to do space-based stories with a character that's predominantly space-based cop. So what do you think works best for a Green Lantern story?
I think if you're trying to do an origin and establish the Lantern Corps in general, it makes sense to initially start more Earth-based. It's easier buy-in for your audience. You can set up the person. You can have somebody who people will relate to and feel connected to and seen by, right? Cool, great, wonderful. But the beauty of Green Lantern stories has never been really Earth-based. Like, if you're going to Green Lantern, you're going for the whimsy and the excitement and the intrigue and the like space social politic commentary you can get. And like you said, they're space cops. Like that's their whole gig. They are space cops. And if you're not gonna do a cop show in space, what's the point? Like that's where all the fun it to me, as somebody who isn't a huge fan of these characters, I enjoy them in passing. I always love seeing them in like Justice League stuff and all that good stuff. But like if I was jumping into Green Lantern, it would be because I want something not Earth-based. I want something extraterrestrial. I want to see the Kilowog show up. Like, I
Yeah.
want to see a diverse set of lanterns and not just in Earth diverse. I want to see space diverse too. Because that's when you get cool, interesting stories that you can tell compelling narratives and have a commentary on the world we're existing in from an abstracted perspective where people aren't going to cancel you over what you allude to, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's where the joy of Green Lantern has always been. And so when you were setting up that TV show, I haven't seen much about it. I thought you were going to say True Detective in Space. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's excellent. That's
100%. That
everything
would be
I
great.
could have
Yeah.
ever asked for. And to not get that is definitely a little disappointing. I'm sure they'll do great things with it. I hope they care about these characters as much as we do, and we'll see where it goes. But like, you're missing out on so much potential there
Yeah.
when you
No,
eliminate yourself like
I
that.
agree as well. So that's an issue that I've had. So obviously with Justice League Unlimited, right? We've seen in Justice League proper, we've seen John Stewart, and that's really the forefront of where a lot of people, especially with media literacy, come with Green Lantern is John Stewart specifically.
Yeah.
Um, so when you have that, and there's a lot of Earth-based stories that happen. There's few that happen in Apocalypse and the New God World and anything like that, and it works. But it works in a team setting that you could be on Earth a lot, and that's okay. John still gets his due. He still has really compelling stories and things like that, and he is shown a lot of love as a Green Lantern. When you have, and I think a lot of people are very gun shy, especially people maybe in Warner Brothers. I don't think it's a James Gunn decision. Maybe I feel like he's constrained by a certain, like, maybe David Zaslav. Fuck him. I can't speak to like what if this is really truly his, like, let's start here or let's start in space. With his new DC universe, when they initially announced Guy Gardner as being like an Earth-based Lantern, he's going to be in this Justice League team, alongside Hawkgirl, Mister Terrific, backed by Maxwell Lord. He's going to
Love
interact with
Hot Girl.
Superman. Yeah, he's going to interact with Superman. I was like, okay, cool, perfect. He's our Earth
Okay.
Lantern. Is he our only Lantern? And like James Gunn from Jump was like, nah, he's not our only Lantern. Don't worry, we'll talk about it more later. Okay, now we have this casting of Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler. So let's go. All right. So what's it? It's again True Detective, and then same logical conclusion, right? We already have Earth-based Lantern. Is this going to be in space? No, in the Midwest. Why the fuck are there three lanterns at one time in fucking Earth? And then if it's
Right.
that bad that there's two, why is Guy not like coming randomly? Like, hey guys, I got you. Don't worry. Hey, my name's Guy. You John? Hi, how are you? Like, why is he not part of this? This didn't happen. Like, it's hard to see the whole picture here, but I think as well they're really gun shy when it comes to space. Obviously, with live action, that's CGI straight up off the jump, right? You already know Green Lantern's power set is CGI. That's going to be money off the bat. And then when you have something like the brief part that we see Oa in Ryan Reynolds' movie, in the 2011 movie, you could tell it's very CGI based. But like, it didn't have to be. I don't think in my head. Maybe it could have been something that had physical sets and then CGI around it. So you have CGI sky, showing the construct in CGI, obviously, but they went full bore CGI everything in that, and we see Oa, we interact with the main planet for the Green Lanterns, their home base, a little bit in that movie. But I think a lot of people were like, oh, now we're dealing with this big threat in Parallax and all this other alien stuff. Like, oh, it's weird. Is that the problem? Like, no, that movie's poorly written.
Yeah.
There's a lot wrong with that movie. Ryan Reynolds hates that movie, even though I think he's okay. How honestly, I was really excited when he was cast. I think
Yeah.
he's decent enough in the movie. He just doesn't have enough to do in the movie.
I think he has a great performance in that movie. I owned that
Yeah,
movie on DVD. Like,
I own it on Blu-ray. Yeah.
it's a bad movie, but I don't
Mhm.
think he has a bad performance. And like, I
No.
understand being upset by a project he worked on, and he has every right to be. But he's like so like embarrassed about that movie existing in
Yeah.
the world, and I'm like, you did a great job.
Yeah,
Nobody around you really
yeah,
did, but you did excellent.
you're the good part, sir. You actually in Taika Waititi. That's how bad that movie is, by the way.
Oh
That
yeah,
Taika Waititi's
Texas.
in it, and I never realized. Um,
Yeah.
until they made a joke before Free got came. I was like, wait, oh shit, he is in it. So and then you have this, I think earlier in the episode you talked about looking on Max and was Green Lantern related on there, and they have a season of the 3D CGI show that was on Cartoon Network, and a lot of people associate that with negative, right? Because there's only one season. Maybe there might be two. I only remember one, but the reason I only remember one is because the time slot it was given. It was like a random Saturday, randomly like 1 p.m. I don't think there was much fanfare when it came to that. That and Young Justice struggled really, but they had this like hour block of DC stuff that was barely promoted, and they had little shorts in between like the whatever episode of season 2 of Justice League and season 1 of Green Lantern. That is primarily an space based show. And that's okay when it comes to animation, right? It's CG animated, that's fine. You're not breaking the bank as in you are with live action movies. But for some reason I feel like when it comes to outside of DC Comics specifically, I feel like everyone that's a part of DC or maybe Warner Brothers proper is afraid and gun shy of space. I feel like they're afraid to get weird with comics. I feel like they're afraid to show a little, ever so slightly, a bit of campiness, right? Because when you have Green Lantern, you inherently have some weird shit that's gonna happen. You have weird ass Green Lanterns, and I love
Yeah,
that
I
shit.
love when you can embrace the camp. Like you can tell really interesting, compelling,
Yeah.
emotionally gripping narratives through a campy medium. Like that's possible.
There's a
Like
motherfucking
if you
squirrel Green Lantern. Come on.
yeah, if you can embrace the camp and like use that like trope to its fullest extent, you can tell a really incredible story.
Hmm.
I think they just don't fully understand how to embrace what they have to actually tell those stories.
No, I fortunately agree, and I think their idea is like, oh, because it was space, it's automatically that's why it didn't do well and that's why it was canceled. Like, no,
Yeah.
dude, you guys put it on a fucking shitty ass time slot and didn't fucking promote it. Me, the person who's like actively trying to watch it, fucking forgot to
Hmm.
watch episodes because you guys didn't promote it. Like that's how bad
Hmm.
in the day and age of social media where you can have commercials everywhere, IGN and all these other things, we have nothing to it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's the reason why it failed, and I think they're so gun shy because of their own faults that we're not getting too many of these stories. Now, who knows what happens with this series, right? I'm not saying it being on Earth is strange, but it could be a knockout of the park, man, and we can finally maybe season 2 of Lanterns, or maybe this can lead into a Lanterns movie where we get, Guy, John and Hal doing something in space, showing Oa, showing the Guardians and all this other stuff. Maybe this one season, like we had to suffer, quote unquote, in an
Hmm.
Earth-based season to get to space for the second season. Maybe Zaslav won't put the money up, asshole. Until James shows that hey, I can do this. I picked the right cast. I picked the right people to direct and produce and write. Here you go. Let's go. He's like, all right, you did fine. You get space. That could be what happens. So I think me personally, I like a mix of terrestrial and extraterrestrial when it comes to lantern stories. I like when there's if it's an Earth-based lantern, if it happens to tie into Earth in some way, shape, or form. We know, especially reading, DC Comics, and how important the Earth is to the overall universe, if not the overall multiverse. So there's a backtrack that you can always go back to Earth for some fucking reason. So it's nice. Before moving on with final thoughts, at least on like just random thoughts of the movie, you have a fun little question here. Which lantern color would you have?
Yeah, I think we thought about floating that question when we did our episode in season 1, and we are like, we'll save it for when we have
Yes.
actual Green Lantern movies to talk about it. But yeah, because like obviously, Green is the classic. We know and love her. We see her everywhere. But also, there's like the entire electromagnetic spectrum worth
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
uh cores associated with them, with all different like emotions that they draw on to power their themselves or whatever. So I don't know why I'm explaining this when you're the actual Green Lantern fan over here, but I
Again,
thought it'd be
just
interesting,
bandwagon.
like, yeah, theoretically, like which of those cores and like which of the emotions associated with them do you think would fit your style best?
Mm. So I've always thought about this. Surprise. Uh looking at the lantern cords themselves. So we have 9 in total. Um I feel for myself, if not green, I would go for blue, which is hope. Blue is the hope lantern. They're all
Yeah.
obviously powered by some kind of emotion. Green is willpower. Red is rage. Yellow is fear. White is life. Purple, pinkish is love. Indigo specifically is compassion. Orange is avarice or greed. Uh, Black is death, and then blue is hope. I feel
Hmm.
like hope. I feel like hope. I'm a very hopeful person. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Well, great, because you stole my answer. I did have a backup one. Which
Ooh,
one?
what's your back?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at the list. Oh, it was probably the fucking Indigo. That was the one.
Oh, compassion.
It was like
Okay.
one of the bajillion
Yeah.
purplish ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I before the robbery that happened to me, I did have a Blue Lantern Kyle Rayner figure, which was really cool. I loved it. Uh,
That's awesome.
I also do love just I like that their support. They just feel like a
Hmm.
backup battery.
Yeah.
you know, they're rarely used for they rarely could do their own contracts. There's been a few that can pull a contract out of their ass, but it's like difficult for them to do it. And then a lot of our favorite characters have been, Blue Lanterns. We have Flash. Barry's been a Green Lantern, which kind of makes sense. Um, I love for I always love that we got it's very random that Batman became a Sinestro Corps member, a Yellow Lantern, because it makes sense.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah. And the two he would be fear, willpower. So yeah, that makes sense. Um, I feel like maybe we got Blue Lantern Superman. That makes sense since he literally is hope incarnate. But yeah, I feel like blue. If not blue, it'd have to be willpower. Now, fun fact:
Yeah,
do you know about the Indigo Lanterns in their
not
origin?
much.
Okay, so they are criminals.
Love that.
Yeah, they're criminals.
100% on board.
And the second that they put a Indigo Lantern ring on them, or they have like a lantern they hold, it overwrites their brain, and they have to be compassionate. So it's like a prison sentence.
Love that.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I'd fuck with that. That's fine. I accept that.
yeah, yeah. There we go. So for everyone listening,
I just think they'd look dope with the like
with the like actual staff,
physical.
yeah, it looks cool as
Yeah.
hell. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they use it as a cool ass weapon too.
Hmm.
I wanted to put this out there for everyone listening. If you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube or whatever, comment down below what do you think your lantern would be, and who do you think me and Sly would be? If it's different than what we said, comment down below, and then tweet
I'd
at
love to
that
know. I
Mara
love
Mamera.
getting yeah, direct all your
Yeah,
tweets about any of our thoughts of opinions you disagreed with during this episode at that Mario Rivera on any social media of your
yeah.
choosing.
Mhm.
You can send all of your hate comments his way. Thank you.
I would have loved the random like general chat again in a couple weeks. What the fuck, guys? Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. That was feed with all the
I don't
smoke.
know.
Uh, all right. So moving on. Let's any like things that stuck out to you in the movie itself. So we talked about the magical girl transformation. We both have that written in our notes.
hmm I love that we immediately just like got into the action.
Yeah.
Hal was being Hal. He was doing, test flight simulator things. He's like abducted. He meets badass, beloved Aventer, right? Incredible. Love that moment. Hal's like, what the fuck am I doing? Of course, immediately goes and learns everything he can about how to operate the ring,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know, that feels correct. Um, and gets his magical girl transformation. We
I
love
love it.
that for
I
him.
love it so much. Like
Yeah, it was so iconic.
it is so magical girl transformation, and I've mentioned magical girl transformation before on the show because I'm a big fan of My Adventures of Superman. And in my head, I'm like, oh,
hmm
this is like the first piece of media that's like embracing that like weirdness and like it would be like that. Like I didn't realize I forgot that it was in this movie, but Hal has like the leg kick and everything, like the fact that his like leg
Uh,
bends, just like Sailor
free.
Moon and stuff. Just like it's like I feel like he flutters a little bit in the air, like like one
Mhm.
of the Sailor Scouts. I loved every minute of it. I was especially as someone who loves Sailor Moon so much as I do. Like I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize how close they were. It was so
Yeah,
perfect.
it was
Um,
great.
I have a note here that it's Training Day meets Green Lantern. It really is.
Mm. hmm
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, we both also had notes about we fucking adore Kilowog. He was
yeah. We did
awesome in this
whole time
movie.
we haven't even talked about it other
Excellent.
than a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kilowog always been a favorite character of mine. He is the drill sergeant of the Green Lantern Corps. He's the one who like he makes a joke about it in this. Like he's the one who puts the rookies through their pace. Um, and he gets some really good screen time, and he's voiced by Michael Madsen. And you would think, listen, I like me some Reservoir Dogs. I like me some Michael Madsen. He's done some good stuff, but he's kind of like maybe he's a little one note. Man, that dude has so much fun playing Kilowog. Um,
Absolutely.
I love his catchphrase. I love him calling people poozers. Um, Tragic backstory if you read the comics, but that's what makes him cool, man. Like he's straight up a Green Lantern. Loves being a Green Lantern. Loves showing the rookies. He has a love for them. He's a little hard on them, but it's worth it. That's like his
hmm
kids, and I love him. His apology to Hal after he
Yeah.
gets his ring taken. I was told I had to say sorry and all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
Boudica's like, "Come on." He's like, "All right, I'm sorry. Hey, are you gonna finish that food?" Fucking love him, man.
So good. Yeah, and then my only other note was like Hal is like definitely not my like Green Lantern. Like I mean he was here. I think they did a good job with his character. It
Hmm.
felt like Hal, but it didn't feel like compelling to me. And
Yeah,
that's probably because I did grow up with, John and the Justice League stuff and Unlimited and everything he does in that. And like, he's always going to be like who I think of when it comes to Green Lantern. But yeah,
yeah.
I think this movie, there was a couple points where like Hal would have a quippy line. And I wouldn't be like, oh, that was funny. I would be like, oh, that's a good quippy, like Hal line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was that level of disconnect there. I don't know.
It's funny though when you like a lot of people really do associate John as their Green Lantern as you do because they grew up with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and that was like the biggest showcase of Green Lanterns at that time. And like the broader, DC outlets other than like comic books. And it's funny to see so many people like root for it and want to see more of a stoic Marine who's like not bare bones, but like very like meticulous and all this other stuff. That character is still more appealing than this, you know, Top Gun esque fighter, test pilot who gets a Green Lantern ring and is like, fuck the rules, fuck the man, I don't give a fuck, I would do whatever I want. Like the other guy's like, yeah, I stick to the rules, I was a Marine sniper. architect. It was like, yeah, that guy's more interesting, man. I want to watch more of that guy.
I do. It's true. There's
Because it's
just
just
something
well
about
written.
him.
Like John is just so well
Yeah.
written.
And I guess my final note I had about this movie was that like end sequence where like Hal gets the like basically goes Super Saiyan and gets
Yeah.
the power up of the entire like green power source like
Mm-hmm.
surrounding and protecting him or whatever. And I was just like, I know they're aliens, but this is still giving like white savior like moment. Like this fucking like white dude from like Earth shows up and saves the day with like
Yeah.
no skills or training, and I was like,
Yep. I didn't put that note specifically because I was like, I was doing other stuff while I was watching the movie. But I put
Mhm,
like how I love that Hal is just stubborn and stupid, and that's just how he wins. But like he like falls into the winning, and it is very like
it's the
it's
epitome
not
of white guys failing upwards.
exactly like he's just like I don't know what I did, man. I did it though, guys. It's like everyone else is like bloody, beaten, and bruised. He's like, guys, I'm fine. I did it. It's like, all right, Hal, good job, bud. Good job.
Mhm,
There was a couple of notes that I wanted to touch upon because there's some random, very nerdy Green Lantern things that happen in this movie, but like either don't happen or happen. It's like really weird. So when they talk about the yellow element and how it affects the Green Lanterns and like it's a weakness for them, it's just funny because by the time we get to 2009, it's already been established what the yellow element is in the Green Lanterns, and it's like, all right, you're already throwing lot of shit at us, Green Lantern movie.
mhm.
Do you not want to throw in the giant space cockroach that was trapped in the fucking central bank? Is that a bridge too far? You're like, yeah, fuck it. I don't know,
Apparently.
man. It was a yellow thing. It was fucking weird, bro. I don't just take it as it is. The color yellow fucking sucks for them. Like, but there's a reason. Shut up. We're not talking about that in this movie. Because then you also get a concept where they're going in between dimensions, and it's that red space, like that hyperspace thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not specifically named, but I know for a fact that's called the bleed. That's a thing from Wildstorm universe, and then it's also has quote unquote, no pun intended, bled over into the DC proper. That's a way to interdimensional or travel, and it's like its own little dimension. And they did that. I was like, y'all not gonna say anything that y'all in the bleed at all whatsoever. Nope. So it's just me and maybe two other people watching this movie like, I know what that is.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's for the people who know, and if you don't, it's fine.
yeah,
You get the
yeah,
concept.
yeah. Um, but I'm still thinking about the fact that you call it like the white guy just flailing upward. It was so true. It's so true. Because not even like Batman fails this well upwards. You know what I mean? Like, like I love that house just in the right place, the right time. It just happens to have the right weapon to be like, I don't know what the fuck happened, guys. I did it though. I did
Punched
it.
it and like broke my hand, but it worked, so it's fine.
I just, how did you beat him? How I just kept punching him as hard as I could. That doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't. I'm not happy about it either. We have to move on. So many people
Mhm.
are dead. I did forget that Boudica was evil in this movie. So that was a
Yeah.
cool shot. I was like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
Because I don't
Which was
remember.
a nice twist because like we spent the entire movie since like second one of Sinestro being on screen being like, oh, that's the villain.
Yeah.
So to actually get a like, oh, she was working with him reveal was good. I think it helped balance the tone of the movie.
Yeah, and there's some times where she like is the antagonist because of stuff that happens, or like she gets turned into a robot or some
Hmm.
shit. But like, I was like, oh, that's a cool way to keep me on my toes. To be like, oh yeah, do you know Green
Hmm.
Lantern, but not like this. I was like, oh okay. Um, I put a obviously we had to mention SVU since Christopher Maloney is voicing Hal Jordan. I was like, damn, not he can't even get away from SVU. Stabler is gonna stable. Um, because he's always doing detective work. Like that dude is just stuck doing detective work for his whole life. Um, I did put this here. It was like a xenophobia line. Oh, I
uh,
said I know this
yeah,
sounds xenophobic, but I'd rather have try alien booze than alien food. I don't know because even if the
yeah.
booze
I
tastes
feel you there.
gross, Like I've had alcohol that tastes disgusting, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever, it gets me drunk, I don't care.
I think it's the texture that's gonna bother me.
Right? Yeah, I think the food would be weird, right? Like, cause it's just slop. And
Hmm.
then the other line was, is this like oh, it's like food around the universe kind of food, or is this just what military get? You know what I mean? Like that slop that they give
Yeah,
Marines and shit.
it was just giving like military core,
Yeah, it
like
wasn't like it
sloth.
gives you the nutrients you need to get on the field. It's like I doesn't taste
Exactly.
good. Which comic book wise, I do love that guy opens his own bar on Oa where he
Mm.
serves food and human beer and stuff. And that's a place where everyone goes to instead of the
Iconic.
mess hall. I'm like, see, that's where I want to do. I want to do that. I want alien
Brilliant.
beer.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to our little random notes of Green Lantern First Flight. Let's go into drama class. One of my favorite holdovers for MCU University. We have we have three specific scenes here. Let's start with the first one.
Hmm.
Do you want to be Hal? I'll be the two guardians.
Go for it.
All right. I was gonna try a guardian voice, but I was like, they all just sound. Other than the guy that sounds like Marvin Martian, which that threw me off and it made me laugh. There was one guy's like, "Hello," hello. It's like what? I that's a horrible Marvin the Martian. All right. You can't condemn an entire species. You said it yourself, Guthnet. It's a wonder they lasted this long. Maybe you'd like me to list all their atrocities. Maybe our human can help us. Maybe he has a few of his own.
Listen, buddy. I didn't ask for this ring. You want it back? Because I've had enough of this crap.
Well, it appears we can add impudence to their many qualities.
Yeah.
Impertinent,
I
sorry.
also like
Yeah.
being impertinent, so I felt seen in that. Correct.
Like me.
That
Me
one
as
was
well.
real. Yeah.
All right. Next we have two other guardian. Another guardian. No, actually two. Three this time.
Mhm.
Rankar,
All of
Gathnet,
them are in
and
there.
Appa Aliapsa. Those are real names, by the way. Talking to Hal. You continue. You want me to be the guardians? You be Hal.
Or
All right. This is Appa Aliapsa. I just love saying his name. Starting. You must understand, Earthling. The Green Lantern Corps is a privileged organization. Not just anyone can join. There are tremendous commitments. Each lantern is responsible for patrolling one of the 3,600 sectors of the universe. But,
one cop per precinct.
uh, yes, I suppose.
My uncle was a cop.
Uh, yes, fine.
30 years of the Coast City Police Force. He used to let me turn on the siren. Nice guy.
More than that, the Green Lantern ring is a complex tool. It takes someone with fierce concentration.
I think I pretty much got the hang of it.
He's got a hang of it. Ranakar, why are we even entertaining this? He's a human. Yes, hard to get past that. I'm afraid the human race of Earth does not have the most stellar reputation. The fact that this human is crude, base, fearful, and untrustworthy. And there's a smell. It's a good one.
Real.
I do love that he feels very like ADHD. He's like, oh yeah, no, but my my uncle was a cop. Easy, let me turn the
Hmm.
siren on. All right, sir, this is important.
Yeah,
I
we're
need you.
in the middle of a trial, but that's
I
fine.
need shiny keys, shiny keys. I need you to
Yeah,
focus.
exactly.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah, no, this was at the point in my notes where I just wrote a cab, and that was my only notes about this scene.
Fair, fair. So finally
Hmm.
we have Sinestro. Would you
Hmm.
like to take the honors of Victor Garber?
Oh, I really wanted to make you do this. That's
Oh,
why I put it
I'll
in
do it.
there.
Okay. All right, let me take a sip.
Gotta keep that throat hydrated before you take this
Post nasal
on.
drip. Yeah.
feel that.
Let me tell you, friend, the only way to operate here is by fear. They hit, I hit harder. They attack, I annihilate. I'm the one constant, unaccessible force against the chaos that you made them forget that. You think I enjoy this? Look at the universe the Guardians have created. We have the greatest power in the cosmos, and what they have made us, garbage collectors. We pick up the trash. A thief here, a killer there, scum, dirt, and filth. There's no end to it, but there could be. It's my dream that one day all of this rot will be wiped away. A new order will prevail, one that will end the chaos, but it won't be built by the fate of heart. You got soft on me back there, Earth Boy, and for that, I will not tolerate.
Yeah.
I feel like
Love
Earth
to
Boy is
see
like it's like almost him saying like the N word to like humans.
it.
You know, like it felt very like, oh, all right,
Uh-huh.
man. Like,
Yeah.
you'd be a little racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great times.
Yeah.
That monologue, I love a villain monologue, but that one just hits
No, that was a
so
good one.
well.
I mean,
Because,
again,
like,
like,
it's just like,
yeah,
yeah,
he's
he's
just
so
good.
strong in his convictions, and he just has this, like, little hint that you're like, ooh, there's something, like, truly sinister, no pun intended, under there.
Yeah.
And, like, something truly evil behind your eyes.
All right, so we are moving on to quiz time. I got two softball questions for you.
Okay, cool.
We mentioned them earlier in the show. So,
Okay.
first question. These are not movie related. What city is Hal Jordan from?
What city is Hal Jordan from? Is he from the Midwest? I was like, that feels wrong. I have no fucking clue. I feel like this is something I should definitely know.
You just said it in your scene.
Oh fuck, I did. It was, oh my god, it's not Central Coast City.
Yes,
Okay.
it is Coast. Damn, it's like you're the definition of out of sight,
No
out of mind.
clue.
You're like, fucking threw that shit
Truly.
in the trash. Don't have to deal with it now. All right, you got that one right. And then finally, can you name who? Well, I guess I'm trying to word this right. Who are Hal's best friends in the Justice League? There are two of them.
Well, one of them is Oliver Queen.
Uh-huh.
And oh my god. Isn't there something where like he considers somebody his best friend and they actually like kind of despise him? Or do I just read too much fan fiction?
I think too much fan fiction.
Okay. Who else? Oh, is it Dinah?
No, I mean that would be
Okay.
cool if he's friends with like with Oliver and his wife. No.
That would be cool.
I'll give you a hint. I'll at least tell you the city that this hero is based in. You did mention
Okay.
it a moment ago. Central City.
Oh, God, who would it be? Bart?
Close.
Well, I was gonna go Wally next, but I guess you're trying to get me to Barry.
Yes, Barry. It's Barry Allen.
Okay.
I was like, I was gonna 2 generations before. In present time, not
It's
future.
like trying to that like you could see the like spinning screen of me loading. I was like trying to figure out what generation
It's like one of those monkeys with like the little tambourine.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we gotta rewind it. Yes, Barry Allen and Oliver Queen are his best friends in the Justice League. In general,
How did I go to Bart first?
I don't think he has any friends that are like lanterns. Maybe in the future, but I don't know. He never talks about them. His best friends are obviously Superboy and Tim, and Cassie. Though Wally, I think, is kind of friendly with Kyle. He's kind of friendly. They have like a frenemy thing going on.
Yeah, I feel like frenemies is a great word for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not best
Mhm.
friends like Barry and Hal, but they're close. And I also love that the other best friend doesn't like the other one. So like Oliver is like, Barry's a pompous prick. He doesn't take anything
Yeah.
serious. And Barry's like, that guy sucks. He's such a dick about Oliver.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that is it for this episode. Any closing thoughts as we move into homeroom?
This was fun. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know if I would say it's a good Green Lantern movie, but it was a good watch. Like it was a fun, like I had a great time. Like there was no point where I was like regretting our decision to do the show because I had to watch this
Yeah.
movie. So, overall, um, good, good,
Yeah.
good vibes, high notes. Would recommend.
Yeah, I think if you are at least for me, if you're a Green Lantern fan, I think check it out. I think it's well worth the watch. If you're not and if you wanna check this out, I mean, just know going in, you're not gonna get much of Hal. You're gonna very
Mhm.
bare bones Hal. Cocky test pilot. That's it. Really, he doesn't
I
even do
think that's
anything
all you
that's
really need for
yeah.
Hal.
He doesn't even do anything specifically like ladies man esque. Like he's known to
Mm.
be like a ladies
Well,
man, and
he's flirting with Cassie over the headset, and that's about it.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's literally it. But like, even then, you're like, oh, they have history. I made a joke in my notes that he smiles at Aricia, which is a very controversial storyline in the '70s of how Jordan like he goes on dates with her, he makes out with her. I don't know if they hook up, but then she's like, oh yeah, my world. I don't know, I'm this age. He's like, for Earth it'd be like I'm 14. Yeah, yeah. So I have in my notes like, don't you smile like that, Hal? Yeah,
Yeah, don't
he,
do it.
yeah. Even our best comic book writers sometimes, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
'cause that
necessary.
pretty sure that was Denny O'Neil, who's an amazing
Oh.
writer. I could be wrong. It was definitely someone who was like, oh shit, these are really good writers. Like this is the one blemish. This is it.
Mhm. Mhm.
um. So yeah, that was my one note. But honestly, you don't really get like much of a ladies' man out of him. Um. He's barely on Earth for like 2 seconds to even establish what his home life is. And then even then he's like just kind of playing backseat. And again, he's fumbling his way. He fumbles his way to his ring when he loses it. Like he literally fumbles his way to get his ring back. Uh
Yeah.
he 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 literally is like the white savior at the very end, coming to help the aliens. Um but in this world of Green Lantern, I feel like Kilowog would make fun of him like that. Like you told me about all the race stuff back at your planet. I feel like it's just like this. He's like, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
I feel
happy about
like
it.
if you've gotten to the end of this episode and have not seen this movie, I think this is one of the times where we really like barely scratched the surface on what this movie is. I think we had some great conversations.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to like dive into this movie, like I would say go for it. I
Yeah.
think we had a great time. And there's so many like again, the art was really pretty, all the details, all those background shots is all the different lanterns that I was like, I know your references, but I don't know who you are. So it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool, this must be an Easter egg for somebody. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable movie, and I would absolutely recommend it, especially if you're not a Green Lantern fan, because I think you can just go into it and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, we're gonna end over here and tease what your homework is for next week, which is Green Lantern. Emerald Knights is our next anthology esque thing we're covering in the light of Gotham Knights. So this is similar to that. Where can it be streaming? Who knows? Certainly not on Max. Uh,
Yeah. But
so
yeah, we're watching a Green Lantern movie from 2011, but not that Green Lantern movie from
yeah.
2011.
You
So
see a
you're
pattern
welcome.
here,
And
right?
this
2011, or whenever the Dark
Yeah.
Knight gets, we get like an
Yeah.
anthology Batman movie. You know, the live action Green Lantern movie. Like, let's do it again. It's like, well, it's been a long time since I've seen this one, so let's see if this hits. I actually honestly remember more of First Flight than I do of Emerald Knights, so it's gonna be interesting to see when we get there.
I don't know if I've ever seen Emerald Knight, so we'll have to check it out.
I know for a fact I have, but I cannot tell you one thing that happens in that at all. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. But till next time, class. Instead of dismissing you guys, I will say, in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lanterns, light.